Yeah, so what we did was with our first FanDuel proposal, we worked with them for quite some time. We noticed that they had done the Bitcoin Bowl, and we approached them right off the bat with, we noticed that you don't allow Bitcoin to be purchased because at the time a $3 entry into the contest, at the time I think the transaction fee would be like $7.40. So it wasn't really feasible for them. They wanted to play on the marketing play of Bitcoin and the hype back in, I think that was November. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but it was about the time when, Dash was plowing through $1,000 a Dash. Bitcoin was up over 14.5 to 15,000. So there was a lot of hype in the market. They're part of what they do is marketing. So they jumped on the cryptocurrency bandwagon with the biggest brand name in the market space, which was Bitcoin. So we watched what they did. We interacted and saw what they were really doing from a user standpoint. We liked what they had, but we also liked their product. We determined that the difference between a cryptocurrency player or cryptocurrency person that's involved and the FanDuel fantasy sports were one and the same. As a matter of fact, it might only be a difference of which app they open up on their iPhone that day if they're on fantasy sports or checking their cryptocurrency balance. So there's a great flow through between the two. So the Bitcoin Bowl, we reached out. We kind of got shot down right away, but one of my project managers crafted a great email response that basically said, I don't think you understand the opportunity that we're presenting you by aligning yourself with truly what we believe to be the strongest player in the cryptocurrency sphere. And we'd like to align ourselves not only on a single contest, but a long-term relationship where we can enjoy the benefits of co-marketing as well as we both bring strengths to the relationship. So that was the initial contact. What we did is we started with a test, which you'll see we've done in the past and we still do today is we test the market. We did this single week, I think it was a total of 2 weeks with 2 contests involved. So we can draw down the data, see really where that we stand with that. And from the data that we got from the original cryptocurrency cup sponsored by Dash, which is the matrix are attached to our existing FanDuel proposal, they just blew out of the water. There's 6.5 million registered users. They were getting multiple emails inviting them to join the Dash Crypto Cup contest multiple times. The click-through rate was about 25% on those emails, so that's 6.5. If you don't register, there's 11 million non-registered users that are still interacting with our product and our marketing. So that was the initial one where we test the waters, we see what kind of reaction we have, see what kind of demand we have for that product as well. We were able to get those numbers, as you can see from our current FanDuel proposal. It was quite mind-boggling with what we were able to accomplish. So we, of course, led into a larger conversation. We worked with FanDuel over about a 5-month period, sitting down, talking about what we really want. And, of course, from FanDuel's side, they don't want to restrict revenue coming into their market space. So they did not want to have an exclusive relationship, but from the get-go and all the way up to the last minutes of negotiations, our team believes in exclusivity for Dash. In the past, I'm a masternode. I vote on all these proposals. I've seen so many people come in and request Dash funds. And let me get that mouse off the screen real quick. And they request the Dash funds, and it's like, okay, Dash, we'd like to have $150,000, $250,000 for integration or getting you set up for this, and this. And we go ahead and fund that, and they flip a switch, and next thing you know, there's Ethereum or there's Ripple or there's some other product. And so I'm personally sick of seeing Dash front the bill for a development and then everybody else piles on for a free ride. So my projects always include the exclusivity from the Reno National Air Races as we we go into the air show community and mass events. We're always driving that exclusivity. We just met with Kuva Cash in Dublin, Ireland. We follow the same suit. We talked for 48 hours, Draco and I, So we align naturally on a lot of topics, and one of them is the exclusivity to Dash. So throughout the FanDuel process, there was a little bit of friction regarding exclusivity for Dash, but through our negotiations, as you can see, we do have a 6-month, it's a total of 12-month contract exclusive to Dash. We can, of course, extend that past 12 months, but for the first 6 months, we have the right to see how everything's going. We continue the contract, or we can offer up new terms. But if at 6 months we're still happy, we have a locked-in contract for the following 6 months for a total of 12 months. Exclusive Dash, $160 billion market space controlled 90% by FanDuel, and Dash will have exclusive rights to that space. And through the new Supreme Court ruling that we kind of planned for, and we got it the way that it worked out perfect. 2 weeks before the close of the proposal, the initial proposal funding, Supreme Court came out the $400 billion to $600 billion. So even if we use the $400 billion available growth in the market, it's still a very impressive number. FanDuel has proven to be a leader in their industry. I believe that their 90% control will flow into that $400 billion market space. And it's my job representing Dash to make sure that Dash is the exclusive cryptocurrency of the online fantasy sports. And then, of course, as we do that, we're already discussing with what we like to call Tier 2, and that's the established online casinos. And so Dash becomes a flowing entity between different platforms. A lot of times if you see, and excuse me if I'm rambling, but basically we just got done talking about this for 2 to 3 days in Dublin as well. And so what you have there is a use case for Dash. People always say, why would I use Dash when I can just use US dollars in my credit card? The withdrawal process really is the key for me to accomplish here. So we have the deposit with Dash where you can enter into a FanDuel contest. On the withdrawal right now, it's a 7-day process to withdraw your funds. So if I just won a prize at FanDuel, basically I'd have to wait 7 days, U.S. currency, and then I could go over to another platform. Dash's use case now is that we basically instantly transfer funds or monetary value from platform to platform. Let's say you're playing fantasy sports today. You take your prize money, you want to go to Cheap Air and buy a ticket to Dublin and go to Money Conf. You transfer the money, you utilize it without having to wait 7 days for that transfer. Well, the big increase to value of Dash is currently we're actually less on an ongoing with deposit and exclusive relationship at a lower US dollar amount per month than our original proposal. So we've actually reduced the price. Right now, it's a 3-month funding period. But if you take that and you divide those 3 months over a 6-month period, we're actually at a much lower US dollar amount. So now you're having an exclusive relationship where you can actually deposit we listen to the master notes. That's one of the biggest things was, well, can I deposit our Dash and enter this? At that time, you couldn't. Now you can. You can deposit Dash, enter the contest. Not only that, if you show up with Ripple, Ethereum, or Bitcoin, you're not allowed to play, or you can't deposit it, let's say that. As you should know, we don't come to market with what we would like to do. We see that again in the space on the treasury system where people start with an idea and they ask for the money, they have an idea, and then they start actually doing the process or executing the process, realize how hard it actually is to make this stuff happen, and then they fall by the wayside. Whatever reasons why, it might be, they didn't fund enough or they didn't have the resources to do it. We're scheduled for an August 1st. The contract will start August 1st, and we're scheduled for a online deposit of Dash into those contests August 1st when the contract kicks off for the first 6-month period. Yeah, so the question you're asking really is a 2-part question. So the 2 that I'd love to answer. So we've had just like the first proposal, okay, here's the contest and you can win Dash. Well, what about deposit? Okay, we made deposit happen. Now our masternodes are asking about withdrawal. I'm not going to come out and just say I'm going to have everything ready to go from day one, because that's a huge security risk. Once we start integrating the withdrawal side of the transaction, if we can withdraw it and we have any kind of issues with security, at that point, somebody else, a bad actor, could come in possibly and withdraw. So what we're doing is providing the deposit, and you can enter the contest. My team is in charge of managing the customer support as well as the wallet setup and interacting with the winners. After that, we are actually working. My goal, personal goal right now, is at the 6-month renewal to have the withdrawal option available. So before we come to Dash community for another, for the extension of the next following 6 months, we want to have a withdrawal option. But we're not going to do it all at once. We're not going to rush to it. We're not going to say that we're going to do it just because that's what people want to hear. We're going to take this step by step, just like anybody else should do if they do it properly. We start with the deposits. We work with FanDuel. We also have some contacts in our dev as well as white hackers that we've been taking advice from on how to take the withdrawal side of things. And we'll take it one step at a time, just like Dash Core does with Evolution. We're not going to rush to market. We're going to make sure that we do it right. And the reason why we're doing that is not only are we representing or protecting Dash's brand, but also FanDuel's brand. The last thing we'd ever want is somebody to deposit a couple $1,000s worth of Dash into their FanDuel wallet, have a bad experience with it. Now they've had a bad experience with Dash and FanDuel. Not only would that kill our relationship, but that would also kill our adoption into this market. Well, I would hope that we do get, we are absolutely budgeted to the hilt with needing to be funded for the entire 3 months. So if we were not funded for the entire 3 months, I would take that as an indicator from the masternodes that they do not wish to continue with the FanDuel project. And I've talked to Bradley, Dash Core head biz dev for this, and we talked deeply about Dash having a certain the pillars of growth here, and there's certain pillars that Dash will be built on and will have a huge amount of following and utilization for. And one of those are online gaming and fantasy sports. I believe that FanDuel is a huge pillar that will take Dash to new levels. So we hope that the community and the masternodes continue to fund us. As you can see, we requested $423 a Dash. We're exposed to market volatility. So things are a little stressful on my team, but we're quite excited about, starting we believe that the announcement of FanDuel and Dash's exclusive relationship with FanDuel will generate a price movement that will be beneficial to our funding. Well, so we have a fiat balance that we must satisfy as Demo Incubator Inc. It's a corporation. It's my company. So I have signed a contract and I have fiat requirements that have to be paid to FanDuel. So up to this point, my team absorbs all the volatility to the downside. And currently, I've shared that we are currently basically working for free in our last now 6 months of activity. But we believe in both Dash too, as we are so we're so committed to what we're trying to establish here that what we're trying to establish as far as the cryptocurrency, specifically Dash, having a foothold in the online gaming and online fantasy sports arena, that we think it's worth it to continue and just keep working and doing what we do. Now, if we cease to get funding from Dash, of course, that completely cuts us off. At that time, I'll have to exercise options in the contract, which, of course, have a financial obligation or a break of the contract. I mean, we can't really reserve FanDuel for at least a 6-month period and not expect to pay a financial penalty. Okay, so as far as that goes, we look at, I love grassroots. I absolutely love grassroots, and I talk about that all the time. However, most currencies are looking for a problem to solve, even though they're built up. Dash has already been created as a payment system, and it has the entire backing of the payment system, the low transaction fees, the speed of utility. And what we have here is exposure, and also the entire, 90% of a $160 billion market will be completely that you can either pay with credit card, you can wire in cash or Dash. Not only is it taking Dash into the full $160 billion market as the sole leader of that space, but it also drags in from the network effect the other, what I was calling the tier 2, the online gambling casinos, not the shady ones. We're of course working with the online gaming casinos that have been established since the mid 90s. And if they're wondering why FanDuel has adopted Dash, we love to talk to them and discuss the reasons for that. When we come in and we talk about the funding system, the marketing budget, the development budget that is internally funded by Dash, I believe that FanDuel is just exactly that, is an opportunity for us to just drive full force into an ecosystem that provides exactly what we need: online currency transactions. So over the period of time, our team is working with FanDuel. We'll look at the matrix. They, of course, have algorithms as well as markers showing the best reception of our contests. So it's actually Dash Watch that suggested, instead of doing small amount of winners and larger prizes, to varying it up. And I love that idea of varying it from large prizes to a few winners to distributing smaller prize amounts to a larger audience. And so we'll be researching and, of course, working with them over the 6-month period. And we'll try one where we have a large, let's say $10,000 Dash, $5,000 Dash, $2,500 Dash prize. And then we'll try the several, 500, 700, 1,000. And to speak to that, though, of course, we also have to take care of our budget. So right now we have myself as well as 4 team members working within this. If we increase the amount of prize pools, it greatly increases our workload, and we'd have to hire additional project managers for that, because we do not just say, hey, here's your wallet, tell me where to send it. We actually do a verification process because, again, we have to protect the brand of Dash and FanDuel. I think our team really sets up, as I was talking to Bradley, a positive contact for integrating into Dash, because we don't just say, here's your wallet, here, you go ahead and set it up, or we'll send you your Dash. It starts from right off the bat. We say, thank you for, competing in our Dash Crypto Cup. You've been selected as a winner. My team contacts you. You give us a Dash wallet, and what we do there, for instance, on the last one, we were dealing with, thousands of dollars of Dash. And so we didn't want to just send the Dash to a wallet and say, did you get it? Because at that point, somebody says, no, I didn't get it. And now, how do we handle that? We have to protect the brand, because somebody could say, no, I played in the Dash Crypto Cup and I won and they never gave me my Dash. That could easily be said. So what we do is we establish that contact. We send a small bit of Dash so they can tell us exactly how much Dash they got to that wallet, and they're indicating that is their wallet and it is possession. And we send the rest of the Dash, but then we send over literature to drive them to to dash.org, Dash Force News, and Discover Dash. And we were just talking to core team regarding the dash.org. We're going to start focusing on sending people on a higher rate to dash.org. I've been able to talk with them and see what's coming out, and I think it's going to be a nice landing page for people to get more information, and not only that, but really find out, okay, I've won this Dash. I can enter it back into a contest, or I can go get a ticket from cheapair.com, or I can actually add to that Dash. And how do I do that? Going through dash.org, and then our team is really hands-on, just like we do at the air shows. We don't just send money to people and say, have a nice day. We create that transaction loop of that full circle of both getting the Dash and sending the Dash. It is, but then what we do, and as we're already working, we actually already employ a professional marketing writer. So we're utilizing that to supplement the FanDuel emails that people will repeatedly get for the entry into the Dash Crypto Cup. Then we'll attach our own content to there, why Dash is so unique and individual in the market. So at that point, we have basically a positive contact with 6.5 million users. That's a huge amount of number. And we always have people saying we're going to introduce to, millions and millions of people, but we actually have a quantifiable and a true contact with 6.5 million users, as well as the other 11 million unregistered users, as long as they interact with our product. So we have a writer. We're putting together our own content for that. We'll also be producing our own videos so that it'll become a much more automated process where we'll step in if somebody's having an issue. They'll get the same hands-on. The difference will be it won't be a live conversation. It'll be an instructional video. It'll be the written content. And then if they have an issue at that, then my team will reach out. Well, right now, up until now, has been I couldn't sign a contract until we had an AIP, agreement in principle, and now we're putting the final touches into that contract, because I obviously couldn't just say. The first one I self-funded everything and approached the network to basically to pay me back for my efforts. It was because of the timing as well as the relationship and the negotiations that I felt like it was absolutely critical that I put my own money in there. And so I did that, but obviously at the new numbers, it's not something that I can self-fund. So, or also write a legal contract where I'm responsible for those funds without having a verification from the network. We took the first vote as a yes, as a verification from the network to move forward. So that's which direction we're moving. We currently on Dash Central have slipped a few votes. We're not quite sure why that would be. It might just be because it's a tight budget, but as far as the proposals on there, we love everything that's going on. We vote, down the line for the different proposals as well. But I really think that FanDuel is an absolute critical pillar for Dash's future. I don't think it's a matter of success at this point. I think it's a matter of maximizing our success. So through the matrix, through the feedback of FanDuel as they review these contests, and we can start adjusting the maximum return for Dash. So as far as the success goes, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I promised 1 million impressions, but we already know that we'll exceed that. Just like everything else that we've done in the past with my team. We set the bar to minimums. That way, when we exceed it, it helps us in future through, I guess, the street cred that we don't just deliver, we over-deliver. Well, we over-deliver because we already, as I told Chuck Williams, I always walk in with a stacked deck, A lot of times people, like I said, we come with the project already completely planned out, ready to execute. Our funding, once we get our funding, we're off and running with existing plans. We're not asking the network for funds and then hoping something works out. I can guarantee that we'll exceed 100 million impressions, which is less than a penny impression in the first 6 months. But that's really just the bare minimum. As far as our proposal goes, we set the bare minimum on everything. As Dash goes up in value, we add value to that. If Dash goes down on value, we have to start adjusting, and we have our bare minimums is what I'm saying. We'll go above that as Dash allows us with the different value of Dash, but we at least have our bare minimums that we'll hit. Yeah, well, we were just an overwhelming success with and I don't mean just our proposal and the matrix of our proposal for the first FanDuel, but the reception that we had from the masternodes was amazing. And so I guess where we are is probably directly derived from the very tight budget, and we understand that. However, as far as what was missed out, I've heard nonstop, and you probably hear a theme going on here. We listen to the master nodes. They want a deposit. We make sure that that's absolutely required. They want exclusivity for Dash. We make sure that that's absolutely required. I also heard that, hey, you got to put that proposal out there several weeks in advance so that we can really digest this. And it's the first 24 to 48 hours we posted the proposal. I believe it was 22 days early. And it was like, boom, big news. And it was a great thing. And then it just kind of started fizzling out and getting buried to the bottom of all the other proposals. So I think one is the timing could have been better as far as my team, as far as kind of marketing it to the masternodes. But we're not really sure what's missing on this. We have an actual use case to utilize Dash as a payment and to own and be an exclusive cryptocurrency option in the online sports betting and online fantasy sports ecosystem, which is a $160 billion market. If you look at the cannabis industry, I think it's anywhere from $20 to $40 billion, which I absolutely love the efforts that are going on in the cannabis industry. But I think that our proposal is quite clear, concise, exactly what we're going to do. We have a past track record of execution. I would never jeopardize my other proposals with falling short on a FanDuel proposal. Matter of fact, this is the slam dunk. I absolutely love being the Dash racer and, providing content on NBC Sports and flying around to the different air shows. But FanDuel to me was just an absolute match made in heaven for Dash. And to be able to lock it up and spend the last 5 to 6 months of my life making sure that FanDuel is an exclusive Dash ecosystem, I'm very proud of that. And I hope that the masternodes allow me to continue to not only execute but over-deliver for this proposal.